episode is brought to you by A3, a CMMC cloud-based collaborative environment for an organization seeking certification, otherwise known as an OSC, to build CMMC packages and share with a marketplace of consultant RPOs and assessor C3PAOs. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of 123 CMMC. My name is Dana Mantilia. I will be your host today, and my guest for today is Segun Ebenezer. Hello, Segun. How are you?
I'm good. I'm fine. Great.
Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, I'm a cybersecurity analyst and educator. I do cybersecurity research and content development. I've written loads of articles on cybersecurity, risk management, cyber attacks, cyber criminal tactics and techniques. A whole lot of articles I've written on cybersecurity. So I do research also, research analysis. I do digital investigation. So these are the things I do.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, today we are going to talk about risk management. And our first question of the day is, what is the relationship between information security and cybersecurity?
Yeah, all businesses use information, and information is a very vital component of business. Businesses run information, they store information, they communicate information, and such information could be customer information, tax information, employee information, and any banking information of the business. And some of this information, when they got compromised, it can be a hard hit on the business, and it can even disrupt the business operations. So information security is protecting all this information from cyber attack, preventing all this information from external attack or maybe unauthorized disclosure, unauthorized use of the information, unauthorized access to the information. And also these information are used to help customers, to render service to customers. And if it is disrupted, customers will not be able to access the service that businesses render to them. So information security is just protecting information from cyber attack, protecting information from unauthorized access, and protecting it from unauthorized modification. While we have more information now going digital. We have digitalized information now. We do not only have information on the paper, we have information that are being electronically stored. So now, the cybersecurity aspect is the protection of digitally stored information, the information that are electronically stored, electronically communicated, electronically processed. So these two works together to provide a holistic security and protection of the organization and the operations of the organization.
So that's a good way to look at it. We needed to, before we had computers, we still had information security, right? All the stuff that was on paper.
Yes.
Now, in addition to having that, we also have the digital world that we need to worry about. So it's kind of like keeping an eye on both things. All right. That was a good explanation. And so the small businesses sometimes say, well, this isn't really going to affect me. So why would you say that small businesses should be concerned with this?
Okay, larger businesses, larger organizations, they have the resources that it takes to implement a holistic information security program, to implement a holistic information cybersecurity program. But small businesses have limited resources, like limited employees, they have limited technologies, they have limited security appliances, and because of this, cyber criminals, they see them as soft targets. That is, they see them as less secured, and they go massively after small businesses because small businesses tend not to have the required resources to implement a holistic cybersecurity or information security program. So this is why small businesses need to be concerned about information security. Even with maybe the little resources they have or with low budget, there are still some security implementations they can put in place or security measures they can put in place to be able to make sure that the information they use and process are safe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, and a lot of the stuff is just starting the communication within the organization, just talking about it. That doesn't cost anything. That's just starting to get
yeah,
the word out there.
yeah,
So people are bringing it to the
yeah,
forefront of their thought
definitely.
process.
Yeah, definitely.
So why risk management, and how can small businesses understand what their risk is?
Yeah, risk is a function of threats. It's a function of vulnerability. It's a function of likelihood of an event, the impact of those events on the business. So it is good to understand your business risk so that you can prepare and know how to you know manage the chances of those risks happening to your business, manage the chances of threats affecting your business, manage the chances of cyber criminals coming after your business. So risk management is just identifying the threats and vulnerabilities that your businesses could have, and
Mm-hmm.
also prepare ahead of time before those vulnerabilities could be leveraged upon or could be taken advantage of, and also prepare so that these threats will not affect your business. That is just risk management. Then continuous monitoring of how you protect your business and organization. That is, and how can small businesses understand their risk? Number one, you need to understand the threats that can affect your business. That's the first step. Understand what are the threats. There are some threats that are consistent across the globe, across all businesses, but there are some threats that are specific to businesses. So you need to understand, okay, in my industry, in my area, in my business, what threat is specific to me, what threat is specific to my business. Then you need also to identify the information that you process and you use in your business. Identifying this information will help you to categorize the information into different categories, and then be able to know, okay, what are the impact of the threats that are attached to this information. That is, you ask yourself a question, okay, if this information uh, become disclosed to unauthorized entity or individuals, what will be the impact of that activity or that act to my business? These are the ways you can understand your risk. And also you need to identify what are the technologies that come in contact with all this information that your business use. When you identify them, then you have to rank what are the impact of the threat they have. Different information with different technologies they use or that uses them have different rank of threat. They are not on the same rank. You can have a threat that has a very high impact when it is exposed to unauthorized entities or unauthorized individuals, and you can have some information that are not, their ranking is not as high as some others. So you need to know all these things. This is how you can understand the risk of your business and the impact of threat to your business.
I like to say that there's basically, because that gets overwhelming for people to really, oh, how am I going to figure out? I don't know what the threats are. This is what I say. I say, okay, ask yourself, what information do you have within your organization that somebody
Yeah,
else would want? That
yeah,
somebody else would want. And even if they say, well, I don't really have anything that somebody else would want, we don't really have anything that important. Then the second question is what information would hurt you if you no longer had access to your information, meaning there was a
sure.
ransomware
Yeah,
attack that locked up your computer or locked up your network. So it's not only what information would somebody else be looking for, it's
yeah.
what if my information would I really be in a bad
Your
position
personal, yeah, yeah,
couldn't get
yeah.
at. So
Personal security, yeah,
yeah, so you brought up a great point about trying to be proactive about some of these
yeah.
things beforehand, because it's a hot mess after something happens.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
thank you for
yeah.
that. So how can small businesses safeguard their information? They're saying, okay, great, I know I have to do this. How do I do this?
Yeah, how do I do? Okay, the first thing they can do, with low budget and limited resources they have, the first thing they can do is establish a robust cybersecurity awareness program for their employees. A robust cybersecurity awareness. This does not cost anything. You can just get resources online, download from Isaka and other industries, standard industries like that, where you'll be able to use it to train your employees on cybersecurity best practices, information security best practices, how they can use the devices and the systems within the organization in a safe way, how they can connect to the organization network outside of the organization or outside of the business environment in a safe way. You can get, materials on password best practices. You can get materials on social media best practices. You can get materials on security policies where you can use to train your employees. That's the first thing. Then the second thing, you must see to the protection of your endpoint devices.
SteelRoot, a national leader in helping companies in the defense industrial base with CMMC preparation and federal cybersecurity regulations. Big or small, SteelRoot is here to help design, build, and manage IT. The SteelRoot reference architecture is a secure, cloud-native operating environment built on zero trust principles. SteelRoot also provides managed cybersecurity, IT, and virtual ISSO services. Visit steelroot.us for more information.
Endpoint devices. Yes, you have to patch your endpoint devices, your system, the server, any other devices that you use in your organization. You need to install antivirus and make sure they are up to date. You need to make sure you use VPN. Every of your employees, if they're outside of the business, environment, and they're trying to connect, over the internet, they need to use it outside the business. Then you also need to be able to make sure that every executive, have what it takes to secure themselves personally. There is this type of social engineering called whaling, where these bad actors go after CEOs, executive directors. You need to let your executives, stakeholders, you need to sensitize them on how they can protect themselves personally and protect their personal information, because these things can lead to they can be useful in the hands of cyber criminals to launch an attack to your business. And also, you need to let those employees that are not that technology inclined, like a receptionist, the cleaner, you need to let them have an understanding of what cybersecurity is, like the concept of cyber. They're just basic concepts of cybersecurity. This will help you to safeguard your information. Don't forget, you need to patch your systems. You need to update antivirus and use antivirus. You need to also patch your IoT devices, whether you're using an IoT device. You need to patch all these things. These are things that does not really require a lot of huge budget or high budget to do. Things you can just do with little or no cost. So these are the ways you can safeguard your information as a small business.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And just for everybody to understand what is an endpoint. So an endpoint is basically a device, right? Something that
yes.
It sounds intimidating. Yeah. Oh, it's endpoint protection. You're like, whoa, what does that mean? It just means all the devices.
Yeah.
And the IoT, those are just your smart devices that are
devices, to
the internet. So and as we know, nowadays everything is getting smarter and smarter. Everything has connected to the internet and connected to everything else. So we have to be very careful with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So here's one thing, you kind of touched on this a little bit with, the human factor of this. Build a strong human firewall. And I think you talked about it a bit with just starting the communication and talking to exactly what you said, the person that's answering the phone, the receptionist, the cleaners, the basic people within the organization that are very non-technical. And just like you said, you need to just have the concept, talk about the concept of cybersecurity, so they know that something like that is out there. So what else would you like to add about this?
Oh, okay. I would like to add that apart from training them on cybersecurity concepts and giving them that awareness program, I think it is also important that you train your employees on emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. Emotional intelligence. Some of the cyber criminals are very good at at leveraging people's emotion for them to siphon information from people. You understand? So when you train your employees on emotional intelligence, it helps them to master their emotion. It helps them to be able to know, okay, when somebody's talking to them, it helps them to know from what perspective is the person talking, what is the intention of that person, so that they would know, okay, this person, do I need to continue my communication or my conversation with this person, or is this person trying to get some vital information from me? Emotional intelligence is very important. I know this is not a very, a focus, this is not stuff that, most organization focus on, emotional intelligence is very key when it comes to human factor, building human firewall. It is very important. Also, train your employees on morals, character, ethics. Many of these cyber criminals, phishers, they normally leverage on people's greed. That is, when you are a greedy person, they leverage on that aspect of you. They leverage on people's low self-esteem. They leverage on people's low self-esteem, low self-worth. So they take advantage of all these, bad characters, or bad traits, to be able to get information from people. When they make you feel as if you do not mean anything, when they make you feel as if at that point where you are very emotional about that, they can be able to get some vital and sensitive information from you. So these are the other areas where you can help your employees to become a very strong human firewall that defend and prevent against cyber attacks launched, or maybe that is intended to be launched against your business.
That is perfect. You're absolutely right, because the social engineering and the emotional intelligence is something that a lot of companies don't talk about, and it's a very basic thing. And just like you just said, touching base on some of the what they go after, the greed, the low self-esteem, and making sure that all of your employees know that someone's not going to call you on the phone from quote unquote IT asking for your login credentials, somebody else. But if you don't tell that to a new employee, they may think, well, I don't know, like somebody called and asked me.
Maybe it's a normal something.
Yeah. So this is really, really very, very helpful. Is there anything that you want to add to this before we say goodbye?
Okay, I just want to say that small businesses should not have that notion or that belief that they cannot implement a holistic cybersecurity program. There are little things they can do. There are little stuffs they can do. There are best practices. And also, I want to add that security policy is very important. Security policy, policies like clean decks policy, where you train your employees on, not leaving vital documents just on their desk, not clumsing their desk with documents anyhow, vital documents, and also acceptable use policy. That is the way devices should be used. Then internet use policy, the way the internet should be used, the way the web should be used, and other policies like that. Then physical security also is very, very important. That is the protection of the location where your infrastructure is situated. These are other things that that does not cost so much, does not even cost much, that small businesses can implement, and it will help them to safeguard their information. It will help their risk management. This is what I would like to add.
Yeah, absolutely. An acceptable use policy for all of your employees, so that they know what they're supposed to be doing and supposed to not be doing. And then physical security is another one. So those are two great add-ons. Well, thank you very, very much for your time. We appreciate all this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we hope to see you on the next episode. Take care. This episode is brought to you by A3, a CMMC cloud-based collaborative environment for an organization seeking certification, otherwise known as an OSC, to build CMMC packages and share with a marketplace of consultant RPOs and assessor C3PAOs.